Alright, what we're going to do is talk a little bit more about setting up this machine. We have everything all connected. We have the stud holder installed with the feed tube and the push rods installed. Now we have to adjust how the head moves in relation to the part there to adjust the proper plunge depth and the lift on this weld head. So the first thing we're going to do is adjust what we call the plunge depth or the immersion depth. And theoretically we want the stud to move down into touch the surface of the part and move beyond the surface of the part to where the top of the flange on the stud is pretty much even with the surface of the part. So if this was liquid, the stud would move down and it would sink into the material. So it's what we call the immersion depth. The way we adjust that is you get the machine all connected and turned on with the air on, and if you look at the power source here, this switch here is what we call the lift check, puts the machine in lift test mode. So if you push that button, you'll see the DC voltage goes down to 0. And this allows us to put the head through the motions of welding without actually welding, and this is how we make the adjustments to set up the head. The way the machine works is the operator pushes 2 buttons at the same time, and the head moves down and goes through its welding sequence. And what we want, when the head moves down, it's going to do a little lift function, but after that lift function is over, the head lifts up and plunges back down. We want that stud to be touching the surface of the material, plus to go beyond it a little bit. So what we could do is get a piece of material here. Here's another piece of material the same distance. And you can see the stud without the material underneath it goes down past it. So we already have it set for this particular stud. If you change the length of the stud or change the setup, you'll have to reset this up again. And the way you change the how far that stud penetrates into that material is the rough adjustment here is at this location on the column. The whole head assembly moves up and down. And then the fine adjustment is right here. At the bottom of the slide there's a stop. It has a little lock nut. If you release that nut, then you can move this up and down, and this changes the distance that the head travels down. So I'm going to, just to show you the adjustment, I'm going to move it up a little bit. Now if I lower the head, you can see that stud does not go down deep enough. It's above the top of the material. So I'm going to move this head down, move the stop down a little bit. Each rotation is about 1/10 of a millimeter, I think, in distance. And that looks about right. So what we want to do is have the stud go down into the material about 2 millimeters. And that looks good there. So whenever we get that adjustment made, we'll just tighten up this lock nut so it doesn't move. Now every time the head moves down with the stud loaded, it's at the proper location. So that's it. That's what the first thing you have to do after you install the stud holder, the feed tube, get the stud installed into the stud holder. The first adjustment is the plunge or immersion depth adjustment. And that's it for this video here.